I think especially in this article, I'd narrow in on defense, because that really is the issue and where there is reasons to intervene in the U.S. economy to make sure that we're secure. And here, the blanket tariffs that we've put in place, some of the other controls that we've had are making us less safe rather than more. And in part because the companies, the primes, those that are defense contractors, it's really hard to work in this environment. They have challenges now to their supply. Because tariffs on steel, aluminum, other things are increasing their costs, which is more expensive for taxpayers and for these companies. But there's also challenges now for demand. These are specialized industries, and the way you get contracts is through treaties, through alliances. You don't sell an F-35 to just anybody. And as we step back from these alliances with traditional allies, there's smaller markets out there for many of these companies.
Shannon, does that open the way for China, Russia, others to fill the void?
It opens the way for those, but it also opens the way for other industries to grow around the world, right? We've seen Germany talk about spending $1 trillion over the next 10 years, but a lot of that's for their own defense industry. And, traditionally, allies like European allies, Middle Eastern allies, Asian allies, Japan, South Korea, and the like, they've bought a lot from our suppliers, right? They haven't always had their own homegrown industries. And I think some of the geopolitical shifts and the worries about the trust in the United States and the breaking or the diminishing of alliances mean they are thinking that they need to go at their own. So there's going to be more competitors out there in the global marketplace, not just adversaries.
Are some of these relationships that the U.S. has built up, maybe post-World War II, how badly damaged have they been? Are they recoverable, do you think, in the years ahead, if we have the will to do that?
They've been bent. I don't think they've necessarily been broken. And you saw on President Trump's trip just to Asia, a week plus ago, reaffirming some of these alliances with Australia, AUKUS, some with, South Korea, going to build nuclear submarines together in Philadelphia along with ships. So there's some repairing here. But a lot of this, these alliances are based on mutual trust. And I think the volatility of U.S. policy is bending that.
Shannon O'Neil with us with the Council on Foreign Relations. We could have a 2-hour conversation. I could be like I did the thing with the governor the other day of the Fed. I mean, we could get up on a stage and go 3 hours on Venezuela. Shannon, you have followed like no one else I know in America, Maduro in Venezuela. Your thoughts on the present mystery of what the Pentagon's doing, your thoughts on the future of Venezuela.
I think the challenge with Venezuela is, if the United States wanted to go in and replace Maduro, we could. But the question is what happens the day after, right? This is a country that over the last 25 years has lost its democratic institutions. It's controlled by a kleptocratic, even criminal regime. And it has lots of different militarized parts to it. It has a military, it has a secret police, it has local militias, it has remnants of Colombian guerrilla groups, the FARC, the ELN, these others. And so if the U.S. ends up going there, you're going to get a place that is incredibly militarized, incredibly complicated, and very difficult to return to anything that resembles a democracy. So there's a bit of a you break it, you bought it here.
Well, I think of Cuba, and again, you've been fabulous on this, and I think of the arching Monroe Doctrine somehow coming over to some new Trump doctrine. But Shannon O'Neil, the structure of Venezuela culture, is it like Cuba where it's basically shattered, or is there a finance, an investment, a social system after Maduro that can move on?
Lots of the civil society institutions have really been destroyed. And, 8 million people have left the country. And so lots of that has gone with them. Now, there is a possibility they would come back. But as you look for analogies, I would look less at Panama or at Cuba. I would look more at Iraq. How do you, rebuild a country? And where you have lots of militarized people? What's the de-Baathification? What's the de-Chavezization of Venezuela look like? That would be the challenge for our next government.